Hello and welcome back to another episode of Fan Behavior and F1 Podcast. I'm Zoe and I'm here with Hannah.
Hi.
Last race before the summer break.
It's crazy.
How are we feeling?
It went by fast, man.
Went by very fast. In some ways, I'm like, okay, it might be kind of nice to have a little bit of a break, but then I'm also like, I felt like last year I was so desperado
Yeah.
for the summer break.
Because
And
Daniel was having the worst time of his life, and therefore you were having the worst time of your life.
right. And also, I mean, he didn't have the best race today, but also I'm not like worried about it.
Whatevs, yeah.
But then we got all the craziness of silly season last summer.
Yeah. And I think,
And I don't think we're getting as much craziness this year.
we didn't think we were going to get that much craziness last year. And then we certainly did.
I knew Daniel was going to get fired.
Well, right. But I think, again, we had the obvious. So we had the obvious of debris that felt obvious and it felt sooner
you mean
than
before, like this
yeah.
year. Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I think there's something coming. Not Colton Herta.
Not Colton Herta. I also feel like so many of the things that are going to happen, are going to happen post summer break.
Which is annoying.
I think a lot of the re-sign, there's no desperation or there's no rush, I feel like, from any teams to quickly sign someone or make moves. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to be proven wrong
Sure.
if something crazy does happen. I just don't think. I also feel like last year we had so many rumors leading into the summer break.
That's true.
We haven't had any. So
I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just I feel like I just need to be alert,
Yeah.
I'm just aware, looking over my shoulder, because you just never really know.
You never really know. So, it'll be strange to not have it for a couple of weeks, but other sports are picking back up and things are happening. So we'll have enough entertainment to get us through, I think.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden
Women's World Cup.
We've got our football starting back up. Both
Kelsey.
American, and non-American football.
Declan Rice.
Right.
Look at me. I'm such a sports girl. I am really excited for football season.
Yes.
It'll be my first one.
It's going to be great. I think you're going to have a lot of fun.
I'm nervous.
Hopefully you'll have no fun. That's my hope for you.
That's rude. I would never wish that for you.
It's because I've been miserable for years.
It's not my fault you're bad at picking teams.
and people.
Yeah. And not with American sports.
Because I didn't pick.
That's so true. You were born into it.
Yeah.
But they're doing, the American sports you're a fan of they're pretty good.
They are pretty good.
Until they're not. But, for the most part, they're pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. But this isn't about American sports. This is about Formula One.
By American girls.
Right. Did you have an American Girl doll?
That's so funny because I immediately thought of American Girl dolls as well. I did not, but I did.
Oh,
read the
you
book.
didn't?
No, I didn't. And I'm not really sure why, because it seems like really my vibe.
100%.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, but I read.
Did you ask for one and just not get one? I never asked.
I never asked for one. I think I would get the catalog and I was like, oh, this seems like fun, but I don't.
Interesting.
Yeah, did you have one?
I did. Can you guess which one I had?
I don't. Can you give me their name? I can't remember all of them. For some reason, I want to say Kit, but I don't even know.
I had Kit.
Really?
Yes.
I don't even remember which one Kit was.
She was the Great Depression.
Yes.
For those who don't know, American Girl dolls, they were really big when we were growing up, 90s, early 2000s, and they were all these different girls and they were, as the name suggests, American girls.
Yeah.
All from different periods of American history. So you had the Revolutionary War. I think that was Samantha or something. And you had Josephina, and you had all these different World War II, Civil War. Did I say Civil War?
You said the Revolutionary War.
All the different wars.
Yeah.
And Kittredge was
full name?
Kit Kittredge, yep.
Oh, that's so funny. That's what my mom calls Kitley.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She was a Great Depression era doll, and she was living during the Great Depression, and she had this cute little blonde bob.
Yeah.
Which is why I liked her, because I also had a blonde bob.
Right.
And I remember getting her so vividly, and then I drew on her face.
Yeah, that tracks. That's really funny. Did you get that? Were you subscribed to the magazine?
I don't know.
I think I definitely was, and I think I probably signed up for at the book fair or something.
Okay.
Do you guys have book fairs on your island?
We did.
Just checking.
And I also grew up in Kansas City too.
That's
so,
right.
You know,
but the Scholastic Book Fair was like my jam.
Yes.
I loved that thing. But anyway, yes, I was subscribed to the American Girl magazine. I think that's where I saw the ads for the dolls. But yeah, I never had one. But there were books. Did you have the books? Did you read the books?
Yes, I think I did.
Each doll had a book.
Each doll had a book.
Small chapter.
Kit had a movie as well.
Oh,
starring. It was some big. I'm actually going to look it up right now.
Oh, a non-animated one?
No, yeah, it was a real. It was a real movie, and there was. I think I want to say even like Stanley Tucci was in it.
A legend.
Oh yeah, it was Abigail Breslin. Was Kit?
Yes. I do remember that. Was it called Kit, the movie, or what was it?
It was called Kit Kittredge, an American Girl. Yeah, Kit serves as a protagonist and central character set during the Great Depression.
Wow.
So anyway, American Girl doll. I don't know how because you said we were American girls.
Yeah.
So if you had an American Girl doll, let us know which one you had growing up.
I mean, in hindsight, like it's probably better that I didn't because I wouldn't be able to have gotten rid of any of her accessories or her, and that just feels like a waste of space.
I don't know where Kit is now.
Well, not here.
Not
if
here.
You drew on her face,
not around.
She probably got thrown away.
Yeah. Though I did keep my cast when I broke my arm for way too long. And it smelled
signatures and stuff, right?
It did, but it smelled absolutely terrible. I had two different casts because I had to have like a big one up to my shoulder basically, and then I had a short one, and I kept both of them. Again, why?
I don't know. That's something I would do though, but I've never broken a bone.
Knock on wood. Yeah. So anyway, and they're also expensive too. I found out from my parents they were like over $100.
Yeah, for just the doll in the box, and then you have to buy all the accoutrements.
In 20 plus years ago. So inflations it must be like
and there's still like a thing.
Oh, for sure.
Like the dedicated stores. And
yeah. Love
a
a doll.
Picture.
Huh?
Your background. I like that photo.
Oh. Thought you said what's on your t-shirt again. I was like, Hannah, we've been through this.
No, I asked Zoe what track was on her shirt earlier. And if anyone's seen the video feed of this, it says Monaco on it. So I'm not really sure what was wrong with me, but I overslept today.
For a second. I was
I did.
Okay. Okay, let's get into the Spa weekend. Much to discuss, sprint weekend, so lots of things to go over.
Love.
We just very quickly, we got to start out and pour one out for our good friend Otmar, because we found out before the weekend began that Otmar got the boot.
And found out that we have a love for Otmar that our community knows about. And honestly, it was revealing to me. I didn't know we loved it. I mean, I did, but I didn't.
It's because we found the Bonjour Otmar so funny.
Yeah.
We always talked about it.
Yeah. Au revoir. Or Otmar.
Also bonjour. I mean, people say bonjour for goodbye.
Yeah, literally bonjour.
Yeah.
It's pretty devastating, honestly.
Yeah. So it was Otmar, and then also the sporting director, what's his name? I think I wrote it down. Oh, Alan Permain.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how
but now
pronounce his name.
He's moving on to somewhere else, right? Williams?
No, that's a different guy.
Got it.
Pat Fry has left the team to join Williams. It's basically a complete overhaul. Alpine's just like
but it seems like the guy who went to Williams left intentionally. And the other two guys were relieved of duties.
Yeah, and Otmar had the most hilarious quote that he gave, which is so funny. So basically, the whole reason he got fired was because Alpine had this whole 100 race plan. They had this thing where in 100 races we're going to start to win races. We're going to be a team that is consistently winning races.
Okay.
And that was going to be, around I don't know when the plan began. I think it was like last season. So it was going to be around like 2025 was when they had this plan of we're going to be a race winning team every single weekend. And Otmar, I think in recent months basically said to them, that's not realistic. Like we've been losing too many people. There's too much overhaul. Like if we can't be consistent with the people that we have in place, we can't keep this 100 race plan. Like it's just not going to happen. So this is what Otmar said. You can't really push development if people aren't there. It takes time for people to come, and it takes time for people to work together correctly. I always say you can't get 9 women pregnant and hope you have a baby in a month.
Unless you're Nick Cannon.
Well, the math doesn't work.
I know the math's not mathing, but still.
And that is Otmar in a nutshell, like iconic, classic Otmar. And I just want to say that Otmar, you are welcome on this podcast. If you want to, speak your truth,
please spill the tea.
Spill the tea.
I hope he stays in the sport. I don't know where he would go, but I really.
Well, he's already burned the Aston Martin bridge. He left there because I don't think he liked working with Lawrence Stroll.
I can't imagine.
And came to Alpine. I mean, I know there's a team principal opening at Alfa Romeo because they don't have a principal.
Huh.
Not that I don't know why he would go there.
But why wouldn't he?
I know.
What else is he gonna do?
I don't.
How long is he on garden leave for?
I don't know. It's a great question. I don't know. It's typically a year.
But that's okay. I mean,
sometimes you can get out of that. Like I know last year with Andreas Seidel, the McLaren principal, who then left to go to Alfa Romeo as like their, I don't know, director or whatever. They let him go. They didn't because they're so kind at McLaren. Anyway, so best wishes to Otmar. Rumor on the street is that Mattia Binotto might come back in as principal for Alpine. I don't know why they're not considering Cyril.
I ask myself that every day.
I wonder if Cyril is just like with the chaos and the tumultuous. I mean, they got rid of Cyril when Alpine was doing well. Like
I know.
They had multiple podiums with Daniel Ricciardo. They were pretty successful, or at least moderately successful. It's not like they've been making leaps and bounds, but I don't know. Mattia is like, obviously they had a good car. Ferrari had a good car last year. Like it's just the strategy. It's just the being in charge of a group.
Well, and it's hard because you go, okay, we talked about this off air, but like Ferrari still hasn't quite gotten it together. So is it the whole organization, body, or, and I know it obviously starts from the top down, but, was Mattia the problem or was Mattia the face of the problem?
Right.
And in a way it's both, but maybe Alpine's a better fit. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely could be. Who knows?
Curious.
I mean, we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
We also, in better news, it was announced this week as well that all F1 teams will have a team that is a part of the F1 Academy.
Yes.
For next season, which is very exciting news. And I don't know why they didn't do this sooner.
I know. Can you break it down a little bit and explain sort of what that means?
Sure. So F1 Academy, for those who don't know, is essentially a feeder series, developmental series for young women hoping to then get into F3 and F2, and then hopefully again one day get into F1. And it was started this past season. Susie Wolf, I believe, is like I don't know if she's the technical director or what her exact title is, but she's basically like the head of the series.
The queen in charge.
And this was their first season, and they have 15 drivers, and they have not been a part of the Formula One calendar in terms of like the support series. Like if you go to an F1 race, you'll see maybe an F3 race or an F2 race on a handful of race weekends. Like this weekend they had F3 and F2 with them. And you weren't able to watch it on TV, and there was just a lot of but again, early stages, figuring it out. I think it was kind of thrown together sort of not last minute, but like in response to the W Series folding. They felt like we need to create something, and this is what they came up with. So, okay. And so now what's happened is next season with F1, there will be a Mercedes car in the academy, a Red Bull car, an Alpine car. So every single team will have their livery and everything attached to an F1 Academy team. Cool. So 10 of those. So and what's interesting is every team will basically like nominate a driver. So like each team will get to pick the driver that they want for their team.
Oh, okay.
Almost like and a lot of these girls have like they're either part of like the academy system within like Williams or with Alpine. So those drivers will probably get paired up with those specific teams. So you'll have one driver per team, and then the other 5 drivers, since there's 15 drivers, will get put with like other sponsors and other people. But what is so great about it is brand awareness.
Yeah.
so important to be able to say, I'm, a Red Bull Academy driver, I'm a Mercedes Academy driver. It then directly connects F1 with the Academy. And like, this is something I think is interesting. I was thinking about this in relation to football, international football, especially in Europe. You have these massive clubs like Manchester United or Manchester City or Chelsea or whatever, and they have a women's team, right? So you have the Chelsea women's team, you have the Manchester United women's team. And if you are a Chelsea fan, it's like a direct connection to a team to support.
Right.
When it's just this other team, there's no real inherent connection.
Sure.
And so I think partnering the Academy with the team, if you are a McLaren fan, it's like the natural thing would be, I'll support the McLaren Academy driver.
Right.
And they're also going to become a part of the support series. So they will be a part of the race weekend. So fans will get to watch them race.
Sweet.
Which I think is great. And hopefully this will also then include them in content, like with their team, and maybe they'll do things with F1 drivers, just again, like creating that synergy, I guess, and that connection, so it doesn't feel like they're two separate things. I think is really important.
That's exciting.
Did I explain that?
Yeah, you did. And that's sort of what I thought it was, but I just kept seeing like highlights of it on social, and I didn't dig into it as much as I wanted to. So that's very informative. Thank you.
Yeah, and
that's awesome.
I think it will be great. And hopefully we'll just like keep pushing it forward. And if you were an Academy driver, what team would you want to be picked by?
Red Bull.
Red Bull.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because the car's good.
Well, but I don't.
Oh, it's just livery.
It's just it's just livery. It's like, what brand do you want to be associated with?
Maybe Merc or Ferrari.
Yeah, I think for me, I would want Merc, especially also because I feel like they would do. I mean, George was very like he posted it on his stories. He was like commented on the post. Like he seemed very like passionate about it. Lewis, of course, also. I feel like they're two drivers that would be like invested in actually like helping the Academy driver and like making sure that she's visible within the team. Not that other drivers wouldn't. I mean, it would be hilarious if you were the AlphaTauri Academy driver.
I mean, I was thinking about that too, but I just, to be fair, like it's more on brand than like I'm not suave enough to be a Merc girl.
Well,
I'm not international enough to be a Ferrari girl.
I think the team you'd be the best with?
No.
McLaren.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Okay, well,
I think that's the
sign me up.
Yeah, we're not too old, are we?
No, but I can't go-kart for shit, so it's probably not going to work out.
Anyway, great stuff.
That's exciting.
Okay, let's get into this weekend because there's a lot to go over. So, FP1, rain. Quali, also a lot of rain.
Wet quali.
What to go over? I guess first thing, Q1. Daniel got out in Q1 because he had track limits.
Yeah.
His lap would have gotten him through to Q2, but track limits said not today. And we were very much, when we talked about track limits back in Austria, we said,
rules are rules.
Rules are rules.
Yeah.
And he didn't. I mean, it's
a bummer.
It's a bummer, but that is what happened. And I think it's though too, like, you're figuring out for him, especially, it's like first time driving the car when it's wet and like trying to kind of piece it together. But that was unfortunate for him. So he ended up qualifying P19. Max was very close to getting out in Q2. And actually Yuki was in P11. And I'm like, come on, Yuki, you could have, that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
I think he still would have won the race. But and he had the grid penalty.
Right.
So he would have started from P16.
Yeah. Which would have been fun. He's done it before. Well, I guess P14.
Yeah, I think it's 14.
But two extra cars
still, I think, would have done. Yeah.
Yeah. But that would have been, that would have just been heard around the world, really.
Yeah. So that was kind of crazy. Strong qualifying from Ferrari. Max got pole pretty considerably, I think by like 0.8 of a second, which was like kind of insane. But because of the penalty, Charles got pole. So we're just gonna say it was a Charles Leclerc pole,
and it was a gearbox penalty,
something like that. Yeah. And then George, I don't know if you saw this, but George kept like screwing up left and right. He kept like getting in Lewis's way.
Yeah.
I think he fucked up Lewis's Q3 lap. Like I think Lewis would have been potentially like on the front row, but George like I don't know. He just kept kind of stumbling. I think he barely got into Q2 and then also like got into Q3. Even during the sprint shootout, same thing. He like kind of barely got into the next stage of qualifying. I was like, what's going on with him?
I don't
like
know.
It was just
maybe
all sorts
he's having
of
trouble at home. I don't know.
yeah, maybe, or just Spa's not a great track for him. But
Yeah.
that was just kind of strange. So that was quali in a nutshell. I don't know. Anything else really to go over there?
No, not really.
All right, sprint shootout next morning. So big delay because of the rain.
Yeah.
Which again, safety first.
Yeah.
And they basically could tell that, there was this big rain cloud coming and then it was going to dry up. So let's just wait for it to pass, which again, it's like, yeah, obviously wait for it to pass.
The good news is like there's a lot of if they don't want to work in Formula One anymore, I think a lot of them could go into meteorology, which is great.
Yes.
It's a good backup plan.
Oh, just like Karen Smith from Mean Girls.
Exactly.
There's a 30% chance. That would be a funny TikTok. They should do that. Someone should do that.
Yeah, or just say it on the radio.
Yeah.
There's a 30% chance it's raining, Lewis.
It's already raining. Yeah. That is iconic. So Q1, I can't remember. I think Yuki got out in Q1, maybe the Alphas. I think both of the Haas's were like, I don't know if you notice this, but like they would like go out to do their lap and then they'd pit. They never completed a lap, and I was like, what's going on? Like, why aren't you setting a time?
Yeah.
I couldn't understand what they were doing.
I can't really figure them out this season.
And then Nico Hülkenberg like went out to do his final lap to get a lap in, but they waited too long and he missed the check. Like he didn't cross the line in time to start his lap. It was just Haas disaster class.
Yeah, it's not great over there.
It was bad. So then it was Q2 and it's drying up a little bit. And Lance I should preface. Lance does not decide. Aston Martin decides that it's time to go on to slicks and put on some mediums. Now, apparently, so the soft tire is like the grippiest tire, right? So if it's semi-dry, you would go into like in theory you'd want to go into softs because you'd have the most grip. But I guess the FIA or whatever didn't qualify the race. I don't know. I'm not sure like the technical terms, but they didn't deem it like a wet qualifying session. And so because of that, he couldn't go onto softs, like something about like he wasn't allowed to get onto soft tires.
I mean, that sounds about right.
So. I don't know. People will have to correct us or explain exactly why, but it was something about that. He wasn't allowed to go onto softs. The second he went onto mediums, I was like, he's gonna crash. When he went on the radio and he was like, oh, it's too soon. It's too soon. I was like, oh no. And I could see like Daniel. No. I was like, it was like Daniel and P11. Like the Williamses, I could see they were all on their out lap as Lance was, and I was like, well, fuck, like, because he's gonna crash, and they're not gonna get their lap in,
right? And
he crashed, and they didn't get their lap in,
It becomes so predictable, honestly.
I was just like, oh my god, which it was funny because a lot of people I saw on Twitter and stuff were like, oh, that's like a bummer for Daniel, like he, it's bad luck. I actually kind of thought it was sort of good luck for Daniel. I mean, he could have had better luck in the sense that if he had gotten his lap in before Lance crashed, he would have gotten into Q3.
Sure.
But I feel like no other cars behind him had set like a representative lap. And so P11, I felt like for him in an AlphaTauri was pretty good.
Yeah.
But it is a bummer when you can't set the lap and Lance crashes.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to blame Lance for this one.
No.
I'm going to blame Aston Martin for trying to be a little bit too, and they screwed themselves. They screwed Fernando over too, because he was like in P15 or something. So
big bummer.
Yeah,
Two thumbs down.
Lance also slipped on the steps.
That was so funny. Like I have fallen like that before, and it is humiliating. It's horrible, unless it's someone else. If you guys haven't seen it, he's walking back up into the hospitality suite, and obviously it's wet everywhere. And he's walking up, and his left foot, I think, kind of slipped, but he fell. He did. Unfortunately, the person didn't post the entire video of him falling, which I find rude. But did they? I didn't see him fully fall.
It
like basically he tilts and then it stops. I'm like, dang it. I was worried he was gonna break both of his arms again. But yeah, he like fell to the left kind of. Anyway, it was really funny, even though I mean obviously he was unharmed, but yeah, that was good.
Yeah. And then in SQ3, Oscar became ever so close to getting pole position.
That was exciting.
11,000th of a second between him and Max Verstappen.
That's crazy.
And Oscar, we got to give him some snaps. I mean, we will give him more credit when the sprint race happens, but he's really done amazing things for being a rookie in F1. I think we forget he is a rookie, and
he's also very like
he's calm. So calm.
He is so calm.
I thought the same thing. Even today with his incident and stuff, he's never like overly. I mean, contrast him to like Yuki.
Right. Yeah.
It's like night and day.
Yeah. Or even with Lando.
Even Lando. I mean, really anyone. I'm trying to think who else is very calm. I feel like maybe it's an Aussie thing because Daniel's very calm on the radio too. You never hear him.
No.
I've never heard him like raise his voice or get angry or even say anything remotely like snarky.
Yeah.
He's very calm. I mean, Charles not calm.
No.
Max is not calm.
Lewis isn't calm. George has his moments, but mostly not.
George isn't calm. Fernando's not calm. I mean, Fernando's better this season, but
he has to be. But Checo, not really.
He's okay,
he's more, but not. Yeah.
I honestly think he might be
the most.
Oscar
Logan,
Daniel. Yeah,
Logan's pretty neutral. Like
neutral.
He's more just like sad boy.
I'm just thinking about like them in a situation that's not favorable.
Yeah,
they don't ever really like throw anyone under the bus.
Yeah, he was just today he was just like, I don't know where he thought I was gonna go.
What did he say? He was like, it wasn't like it was like I wasn't even there.
Yeah. which really pointed to Martin Brundle being like, what was he supposed to do, evaporate?
Yeah,
that was one of my favorite things he's ever said, I think.
So anyway, congrats to Oscar for being so close to pole in the sprint.
Yeah.
That was just great. That was fun to see.
Yeah.
So then we got the sprint race, another big delay.
Fun stuff though.
Another big delay. They start the race under the safety car. They do a few laps. I mean, the spray is insane.
It's so scary.
It's so crazy. And they've talked about this a lot too, the drivers, how bad it's gotten, like with the cars nowadays, how bad the spray is. It makes it I mean, it truly makes it undrivable. You can do quali when it's wet because
there's so much space.
You're spaced out. But in a race condition, you just can't do it.
It's crazy impossible. Too to see like Eau Rouge is that big hill that I love so much. Yeah. Like when they were filming part of that, like how close they are to each other, but you still like one car goes and you still can't see like as a viewer the car behind them. It's scary. It's just like it almost looks like dense fog. It looked like a Halloween scene. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or
apparently with Spa too, because of the trees and stuff like that, like the moisture really hangs in the air,
sure.
And so it takes a lot longer for the track to dry, and it can get pretty bad. So anyway, they do a few laps under the safety car, and then everyone was like, okay, we got to pit for inters, right? But
that was
there was this whole thing because you have, you can't, if you and your teammate are close to each other, one has to pit before the other because they can't do a double stack.
Right.
It's too close. Max, so because Red Bull is at the very start of the pit lane, Max was worried that if he pits and all the other cars come in, he's going to get caught out in the traffic of the pit lane. So it was this whole like trying to work out who's going to pit, who's not going to pit. So Oscar pits because he's in P2, but Max does not. Max continues out. And then at the following lap, Max pits and Oscar then takes the lead of the race. And it was just all this chaos going on. I think the Ferraris had maybe not such great pit stops. I don't think Lando's was particularly very good.
The pit lane stressed me out.
It was very
like I really thought I cannot believe there wasn't an incident in the pit lane.
They've said too that the Spa pit lane's pretty wide compared to other I think you can fit like 3 cars wide. If they were to drive right by each other, but still,
I mean, people were just weaving in and out. I really thought
someone else said that they're like they just basically the stewards just did away with unsafe releases.
Yeah, of course.
There was no such thing as unsafe release because it was just.
I mean, everyone would have
got it. Yeah, exactly. It was just chaos left and right.
Yeah.
But then unfortunately for Oscar, Fernando had his little spin, his little incident, and ended up. Well, actually, I was going to say he ended up in the wall. He did not. He saved himself.
Yes.
You see that he fully. I was like, okay. He was like, that was an uncharacteristic mistake from Fernando. I was surprised on his birthday. I know. Feliz cumpleaños.
Exactly.
So then of course that brings out the safety car. So then the group bunches up, and Max picks Oscar's pocket pretty much right after the restart happened.
Yeah. Which was to be expected.
Which was to be expected, but you know, it was fun while it lasted. I do wonder what would have happened if there was no safety car. I mean, Max probably still would have gotten the lead.
But they didn't have DRS because of the wet, right?
It maybe would have taken him a little bit longer to get that pass on him.
Yeah.
But kind of interesting. There was the Lewis Checo.
Look, I was the first person that was harsh in my opinion.
I agree. I do think it was harsh. I felt like they both left each other enough room. I felt like people said, you know, Lewis kind of like he I think if you were to read like the regular or like the rules and be very harsh, it's a penalty.
Yeah.
But I think there's many cases in the past where two drivers are racing like that and it is not a penalty.
Correct.
I think I actually heard Matt and Tommy from P1, Matt and Tommy, them talking about how, you know, you're supposed to judge the penalty not based on the consequence of the action, right? So like Checo had a hole in his side pod.
Right.
That's not supposed to be in your head when you're judging whether or not something's a penalty.
Sure.
But unfortunately, they were saying, they were like, I think it was. I think they did take that into consideration, that there was this giant hole in his side pod. It's like, well, whether there is or there isn't doesn't matter. Was the action worthy of a penalty?
Yeah.
I agree. I thought it was harsh. I didn't think it was worthy of a penalty. I thought it was fair racing. But then that really screwed Checo over. Yeah. And he was just falling. And then the Ferraris pass him. And then everyone's just like passing him left and right.
Yeah.
So tough day at the office for Checo.
Yeah, he's having a few of those.
Daniel had a pretty good sprint race. He got P8 when Checo was falling back. He was in P8 for that last point. And I was like, come on, Daniel, you can do it. And then George had to pass him. And then Esteban, I think, passed him at the end. He could only hold on for so long.
But he did.
But he got P10. Yeah. Which wrong race to get P10 in.
Correct. But he did it. It's good practice for next time.
Yuki had a spin. I don't know if you saw. Well, they didn't show it on the radio or on the broadcast, but I remember watching the sprint and like all of a sudden Yuki like dropped down. I was like, what happened to him? I saw later on Reddit, he was trying to avoid running into the back of somebody, and so he like broke, and then he kind of spun and he caught himself, and then he kept going. But he kind of had a rough sprint.
I'm glad he didn't crash.
He had a good race when it mattered.
Yes,
for him.
Yes, he did.
But the big story, obviously, Oscar finishing P2, but Pierre,
so exciting,
P3. Yeah, and you know what's so great about
liked by Pierre Gasly sweatshirt in honor.
Yes, I love it. What's so great about someone like Pierre getting on the podium, and even Oscar too, but though Oscar didn't show as much emotion, but like just the new people having success. Because you hear like Max be like, okay, Max, who you won? And then you hear Pierre and he was like so happy.
Yeah.
And that's just nice
to
hear.
Think the track obviously like is very significant for him in a lot of ways anyway. And so I think it's always nice, like, I don't know. I was just happy for him that he had a good day there.
Yes. And also the same weekend as all of the Alpine drama has been going on. I think
it's ironic too. It's like, okay, so you fired him and now for the first, well, I guess Ocon was on the actual podium, but it's like, you guys have something there. Yeah. But like you keep firing people. That's not how business works. Yeah. Like if you keep firing people, you're going to have to start over your 100 race plan.
Right.
That's how that works.
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
Maybe if they put a woman in charge. Yeah. Add some logic into the building.
Literally.
No disrespect to Otmar. I'm sure he was doing a great job.
I mean, I think especially Ferrari, like, I think if maybe some women were put in charge at Ferrari, I think we maybe would see something different.
And something to test.
Right. Something to test. something to consider. Anyway,
I'm Italian, so
it was a fun sprint. And again, I think the sprints really work. It's been nice that the last 2 sprints have been in these wet, dry conditions because it forces the drivers to pit.
Yeah.
Under normal sprint conditions, or, you know, if it's just a regular sprint, they don't have to pit. And that's when it becomes kind of like, well, nothing really happens. Yeah. So hopefully going forward, I think they have them in Qatar, Austin, and Brazil. And I don't think we could, I doubt there's going to be rain in any of those 3 races. And in Austin and in Brazil.
Yeah.
Brazil maybe might have rain. Just time of the year. But yeah. Anyway.
So I heard well, again, I keep getting all these like very random but interesting anecdotes from Dak Shepard's podcast. But apparently at one point there was a conversation, and I don't know how long ago this was, and I also haven't fact checked it, but that they were talking about adding sprinklers to tracks. Have you heard that before?
Bernie Ecclestone, who was the previous owner of Formula One, he won it, which I think is the stupidest thing ever.
Well, it's just like so random because like from a safety perspective, it like doesn't track. Although this is also, I'm changing gears here, but did you also hear that the tire blanket has been
yes
shock
so we'll see.
I say maybe they could add sprinklers to Qatar.
Sure. I think either the track has to be really a great track for passing and overtaking, like a Brazil, or there has to be changing weather, which creates drama.
It was also kind of fun, and I know that they would never lower it this much like permanently, but it was kind of fun that it was only 11 laps. Like I felt like it made it more urgent for everybody in a way.
Yes, I think. Yes, I mean it's good, and it was good in these conditions because again the pitting and everything, but it would be bad if it was just like there wasn't enough time for there to be things to happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see. Okay, should we get to the race?
Yeah.
So again, not a lot happened this race, to be totally honest. You had the first lap incident between Oscar and Carlos. Oscar got pinned against the wall essentially and got smushed. And it
always stresses me out when there's a lockup.
I know. And I felt bad. I did feel really bad for Oscar because again,
he had a good weekend.
He had a really good weekend, and that sucked. But I guess I'm glad he at least had the successful sprint race weekend to make up for this tough race for him. But he retires right away, and then Carlos just continues again, even though he had a hole in the side of his car.
Yeah,
and he was just being passed continuously. Right. I'm like, what's the point of continuing?
Yeah, I just don't understand, because I think I heard Martin come on and just be like, why? Like, I just don't. You're not gonna be able to fix this and like get good time. Like, just save the mileage on the engine and retire the car.
Exactly.
Like, you're not gonna finish in the points with a car like this. Like, everyone is past. Like, just retire the car.
Right.
And I don't like, what kind of data are you trying to get right now?
Right.
That's the only thing that I could think of is like why he's still out there. But it's like, but then he even did a whole pit stop. I'm like, for what?
Right. And he was asking about like when the rain's coming and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about this too. I was like, maybe if you're Daniel Ricciardo and you had that thing, you're thinking, well, I need to get laps in the car. It's my second race, or something like that, where it's like you're trying to get more information.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to gain for him. I think it also was difficult for these teams too, because they basically had 0 dry running prior to the race.
Yeah.
So nobody knew how their tires were going to do in the race. Like, and even like Lando, because he was really struggling at the beginning, being passed relentlessly by people. I mean, Ricardo passed, and I was like, okay, something's wrong here.
Right.
And I heard it's because the car was like so set up for rain conditions that it just like wasn't working in the dry conditions. So it's like so many teams were just unsure of what was going on, essentially, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, but then Carlos did eventually retire, like lap 23 or something. I was like, okay, well, again, what took you so long? He wasn't complaining about it though.
No, I know. I guess,
or we didn't hear about it.
This is where I'm just curious. Like, these are the things I'd like to know, and like obviously that are too. I don't know if it's like too top secret or whatever, but like I want to know why. Like, because they had a reason, right? Like, I mean, they're not they didn't really think he was going to get the point. So I like it had to be data collection of some kind. I'm just curious.
Initially they thought, well, maybe he could hang on and get P10 or something like that.
Maybe.
And maybe they thought if it does rain, it might cause some people to that could have been it. And then once it was revealed that the rain wasn't really a factor, it was like, okay, well now there's no point.
Because where was he at when he did, like, where was he on the leaderboard when he did retire the car? Like,
I don't
past
know.
P10?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a part of it that I couldn't my alarm went off and then at 7 and then I woke up again at 9:30. So I have watched chunks of the race and caught up on highlights.
Hannah had a bit of a panic.
She did.
Max, got the lead fairly comfortably. No shocker there.
No.
Ended up winning by, I think, over a pit stop time-wise. So, just another day in the office for Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Not much to really comment on. Great race, successful. Didn't get fastest lap, though. Lewis Hamilton got fastest lap because he pitted.
We got to take our wins where we can.
Fastest lap.
And you sent me this TikTok, but the TikTok of the boy who was crying because Max Verstappen won again was really kind of heartbreaking, but just really cute.
For those who haven't seen it on TikTok, there was this boy who was just like crying, and his dad was like, "Why are you crying?" He's like, "I just don't want to see Max win every race." And then he's like, "Who do you want to see win?" And he's like, "Just not Max." And then he was like, "What about Lando?" He was like, "No." And then he was like, "Lewis." He was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
And who would have thought people would be crying over wanting to see Lewis win so bad?
I know.
It's like how
far we've come. Yeah.
Even in the race, Martin Brundle said something about, like, I think it was when Max was catching people and how, like, it's just so scary, when someone like Max is behind you, because it's just like, well, there's nothing, it's just, it's inevitable.
It's like
and
a shark attack.
Martin said, like, this is what it was like with Lewis back in the day. And it's like, because it's like, when you don't have the rocket ship, it's not as scary for people. Though I think I still would be very scared if Lewis Hamilton was behind me.
Yeah.
I would still have
I'd be scared if I was driving in one of these cars.
Right. But even though his car is not that great, I still would be like, oh shit, like
championship driver behind me.
Right. And as we saw, I shared this with Hannah earlier before we started recording, the only 3 drivers to have scored points in every single race this year has been Max, Lewis, and Fernando.
Mm-hmm.
All the world champions.
The trifecta.
So congratulations to them. Okay, what else do we have from the race? Great race by Yuki. It has to be said.
He did great.
Has to be said. He was really holding on for dear life. He almost caught Lance Stroll at the end. He did get passed by Esteban, but it was all fine because he still was in P10.
Mm-hmm.
Contrastly, Daniel, not as great of a race.
No.
I was reading some of his onboard messages and stuff like that, and so I guess he was stuck in this massive DRS train for a long time behind I think one of the Haas's and then maybe one of the Williams. And when you're in like kind of that, when you're so close to cars like that, it just like cooks your tires. It destroys your tires. And so he just couldn't ever like get in a position where he was running in enough space to like actually make a difference. / also he couldn't get past the Haas either. Like the Haas, I guess, has pretty good straight line speed. And it was just, I don't think it was like a disastrous. I think there's like reason to be like, this is why he struggled today.
Yeah.
It's funny how people all of a sudden, how quickly they're like, oh, so this is the driver we replaced Nick DeVries with. It's like, okay, you guys,
relax.
First of all, let's think about Daniel's last couple of weekends.
Yeah.
He beats Yuki in qualifying and in the race in Hungary. Then in the sprint, he outqualifies Yuki and beats Yuki. He has the mistake in actual quali, which is his fault.
Correct.
But then you pay the price of having a bad quali. Yuki started in P11, Daniel started in P19. Like that's what, and that's Daniel's mistake.
Right.
But that's what happens. And so I don't think it's like
it's also literally his second weekend.
Right. I just don't think you can compare Nick and I mean you literally can't.
No, you cannot.
You can't. So I will not stand for that. Now you can't compare Daniel and Yuki, and you could say, well, yeah, they're gonna have a good little battle on their hands for the rest of the season. And we said this, I think it will be competitive between them for the rest of the season. I don't think either one of them is going to completely blow the other one away.
I don't think so either.
So we'll see how that transpires for the next, when we reconvene. But great race by Yuki, getting a point. I felt like should have been driver of the day.
Who was driver of the day?
Max. Because he got through all the people. But
he does that all the time.
I know. I felt like it should have been Yuki. Though Yuki didn't really do a ton. I guess he did a little bit of overtaking. He was kind of more like in a good position when the race started, and then obviously you had the retirements of Carlos and Oscar, and he was able to like stay where he was. You know what I mean? But still, I mean that's a good drive. So
random tangent that I just thought about.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about Max. I just want to say that I'm really proud of him for not wearing flat bills anymore. He's come a long way.
Yeah.
Not loving this orange hat that he's always in.
You know what's funny?
It's a little aggressive.
Is my dad and I, well, actually a couple things. We started guessing how long the pit stops are. So like when they happen, we like shout out like, 2.5 or whatever. And that's been kind of a fun little thing.
Yeah.
Predicting guess. At one point though, I think it was Checo, and I just like blanked, and I was like, I said like 2.7. I was like, I like knew it was faster than that, but I just like was overwhelmed. And then he actually noticed it yesterday during the sprint race after the sprint, that when Max is interviewed, he always touches his hat.
Oh yeah,
like multiple times. If you watch his interviews, you'll see it. It's like
a little tick.
And so we predicted today
how many times
he's going to touch his hat. And I said 4. And I think my dad said 5. And my mom said 7, which is crazy. But there was a couple, he touched it 3 times. There was a couple times, though, he went to touch his ear and then went to scratch his nose. My dad was like, no, Max, like, come on.
Your hat.
So if you're looking for other ways to stay entertained during a race weekend, start guessing the pit stop times. Just throw out some other fun things. Keeps it fun.
Yeah.
I also want to just say Lando recovered himself pretty well. It seemed like the hard tires were bad for him, and then it also rained a little bit. I think he started to the car was better in that condition, and he ended up finishing like P7. So
he did all right.
Decent. He was pretty much outpaced by Oscar the entire weekend. Kind of interesting. But whatever. But then also
don't know what that means yet.
Lando's had a lot of great weekends. So I think they're both very evenly matched teammates, and I'm excited to see them go forth.
Yeah, in their foot thongs.
In their foot thongs, exactly. I wish that there had been rain today. Actual legit rain that would have forced them to go onto inters, because I feel like that would have really mixed up the grid a bit more. There just wasn't a lot going on, I felt.
Yeah, and again, it's so interesting when you have such a what quality leading up to the races, so and that's how the car's set up. I don't know, it's just I feel like it really affects some teams more than others.
Yep.
And I think and I feel like that's happened a lot this year, where it's the quali or the sprint is wet and then the race is dry, and it's just not as fun.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that would have made it a bit more fun, a bit more interesting, but
still a big fan of the sprints.
Yeah.
Because I think we've been given the correct conditions for most of them this year.
Yes, exactly. Anything else from the race to go over today? Okay.
Unless we want to talk about Oscar cutting Pierre out of the photo.
He did cut Pierre out of the sprint.
He cut Alpine out.
He cut Alpine, which happened to be Pierre.
Yes.
From his photo dump from the sprint race. And, did he cut them out because it's Alpine? Did he cut them out because it just didn't he couldn't fit it in the photo?
I don't think it's that he couldn't fit it. I think it's
petty.
No, I think he thinks it's funny. I don't think he's doing it as a dick move to Pierre. I think it's I don't think it's personal to Pierre. I think that's why I said Alpine, because at first I was like, why is it such a big deal? And then I realized the Alpine of it all because Zoe told me. And I don't know. Because I was saying this weekend, when he was doing his post sprint interview of just it's not a podium. I don't really know what this is, but it feels cool. It's good. And it made me laugh, because it's just, I think he's just very kind of sarcastic. He seems like the guy that just pops out of nowhere with the funniest thing to say.
Yes.
And I think that's what taking Pierre out of the photo dump was saying Alpine who, not that Pierre didn't do a good job.
Totally.
I also could see him telling Pierre he was going to do that, and Pierre thinking it's funny. So I think it's fine. No bad blood.
I mean, yes, we said earlier this season, when McLaren was so bad, we were like, man, does Oscar regret not going to Alpine? But I think it's very clear who the real winner is here, and it's Oscar.
And even in there's been interviews where they kind of bring up Alpine and how they're not doing so well, and he just kind of raises his eyebrows, he's cheeky.
Yes, he is
it's
cheeky.
Fun.
He is cheeky.
Yeah.
So good for Oscar.
Can't wait to see him on DTS.
Yep, that'll be good. All right, I'm gonna go to some of the questions before we get to our pyramid.
Okay.
So, the whole Max and his race engineer GP is his name. Their little sass back and forth the whole weekend was quite entertaining.
Loved it.
Yeah, I love that he didn't back down from Max, and he was like, "Okay, Max, if you're gonna complain, then you do everything." And
what would you have done? My favorite was when he was like, basically, he just always needs to know what the plan for Checo is.
Yes.
They're going to screw Max.
Yes.
You're literally their golden child. They're not going to screw you over. They will screw Checo over, but they will not screw you over. And he's just like, well, I just want to know the plan. And he's like, I just need you to listen to my instructions and follow them. Okay. It's not his race is not your race.
Yeah.
You'll be past him soon enough. Shut your mouth.
Yes, exactly. And then the whole when he had almost got out in Q2 and he was like, because I think he was like, P10's not good enough. And then
he's like, put you through.
And
we still one more.
Right. And just shut up, Max.
And even when he apologized and he came back on later, sorry for earlier. And he was like, I'm getting quite used to it, aren't I? I was like,
right. I mean, you have to be.
GP is his name, he said?
GP.
He's very dialed into what Max and his.
I mean, it's the same way that
qualms.
Bono is with Lewis, right?
Yeah.
It's like Lewis has, my tires are gone.
Yeah.
We need to save the engine. And it's just like, okay, Lewis, just keep on going. Everyone has to kind of figure out their driver's tendencies and then adjust accordingly.
Whose engineer I feel bad for because I don't think that they are simpatico is Lando's. I don't get the impression that and I could be totally wrong here. There's no real reason or basis for what I just said, but I feel like with Bono, him and Lewis have an understanding, and Max and GP have an understanding of they're animals, and then they're fine. And I feel like Lando, or just anytime they get yelled at, because even though you might understand, okay, well, they're out racing or whatever, it can't be fun.
I mean, we
shouted.
We actually know who really has the most difficult relationship.
Ferrari,
yeah, Charles and Zavi.
Yeah, it's bad.
That's not good.
No, and candidly, the fact that Zavi's still hanging out is quite fascinating. Now, I don't want anyone to lose their job, okay? But it is just interesting considering the circumstances.
Who? Again, back to your women point. Women, I think, maybe need to become race engineers. I don't know if they've been them in the past. I'm sure that maybe some have, but I think
they're too emotional.
Exactly. No, I think they could handle it very well.
Yeah, I think so too.
So just something to think about going forward. Okay, some more. A lot of people saying Oscar was so calm.
Yeah.
When Carlos and him had his little incident.
Matt. Excuse me. Imagine if that was Lando.
Right.
Lando would have lost his mind.
So bad.
Especially on his friend Carlito.
Exactly. Daniel's racing, because someone said Daniel and his engineer Pierre learning to communicate effectively is so adorable. So Daniel's race engineer is this guy Pierre, who was Pierre Gasly's race engineer for many years. And it's so funny because Kelly and I loved Pierre, the race engineer, in Drive to Survive, especially when Pierre Gasly won his race in Monza, because he's so okay, Pierre. So just go, he's just very upbeat and positive and is just has a good energy about the way that he tells his driver what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love that now he's Daniel's race engineer. I think that's kind of fun. Yeah. Okay, Pierre. So now we got to go into mode 1 and push. Yeah, exactly. He's just good about it. A lot of people saying Yuki, good race. Yep, agreed. Very happy for Yuki. Do we think that Daniel will be do we think? Well, A, do we think he's going to get re-signed by AlphaTauri? B, do we think it's going to, when do we think that would happen? Or are they waiting? I can't imagine. Again, Checo got P2. Daniel hasn't been blowing the roof off the place.
No.
I know it's been only 2 races. I can't imagine them thinking Daniel's in place for the Red Bull
seat so
next year.
I think I've kind of thought about this a lot more, and I think with the my opinion as it sits right now is Checo is fine. Again, they don't, because Max is so reliable, they do not need Checo to be like competing with Max right now. Like, he's not doing well to their standards, obviously, but like they're not at risk of the championship by a mile, you know? So for me, if with the AlphaTauri rebrand, I think their strategy would be to keep, especially now with the numbers they have from like the social media of all, like, I think that they would keep Danny on maybe through next year. If Checo stays doing what he's doing, and Danny, I could see a mid-season next year switch.
I also read, it came out this week, that Checo has in his contract he cannot be demoted to AlphaTauri. Even if he wants to be, he can't be. Now, he did that for his own benefit, obviously, because he knows.
You can amend a contract, obviously.
You can amend a contract.
But I don't know why he would want to.
Yes. So I don't know that the swap is on necessarily.
Okay.
My thinking is this. I think AlphaTauri would want Daniel and Yuki for next year. I could see them both signing 1-year contracts for 2024. And then you reevaluate finishing 2024. You either Daniel goes to Red Bull, Daniel goes somewhere else, Yuki goes somewhere else. You bring Liam Lawson in.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're both going to want the two of them. I just don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happens first. Does Yuki get re-signed first? Does Daniel get re-signed first? You know, I guess maybe that's going to play out with based on what happens in the coming races. Who's performing better?
Yeah.
We'll get the get re-signed faster.
True.
I just can't really see. Yeah, I feel like Daniel will be with AlphaTauri for
I think so too. And I think it makes sense. I mean, it sounds like there's going to be a lot of improvements to the car, which I know we've heard that a million times before, but like Red Bull knows what they're doing when it comes to a car. So if that's a decision that they've made, I could see that happening and going well. And yeah, I mean, he's obviously a marketing genius, so he'll be great for the rebrand. I can't wait to know what their name's going to be.
I know, it's going to be fun.
So it's been Toro Rosso, which is Red Bull in Italian, and then it's been AlphaTauri, which what does that mean?
Well, it's a fashion brand.
Right. It's literally a fashion brand.
Yes.
So I'll just be curious to see. I kind of liked the name Toro Rosso, to be honest.
Me too.
But I'll be curious to see what the name is and what the colors are, and
exactly.
Yeah.
And what a great driver pairing for a rebrand to get people on board. It's kind of the best you can get.
Yeah.
So
pretty much.
You know,
and Yuki has a merch line out, right?
Almost. He's coming out in August. So I'm excited about that.
Funny.
Yeah.
With our number all over it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we'll end here because this is funny, and you've seen Barbie now. So this person was asking for us to say which drivers would be Barbies and which drivers would be Kens.
Now
let's go through the grid.
Version of Ken, pre or post Human Land?
I think just like the generic Ken and then the generic Barbie.
Okay.
So, let's go with Red Bull first. Max is a Ken.
Yeah.
And I think Checo's a Ken.
Correct.
Mercedes.
Lewis is a Barbie.
And George is a Ken.
Yeah.
George is a Ken.
Yes.
Ferrari.
Kens,
though Charles might be a Barbie.
Yeah.
Carlos is maybe a Ken.
Carlos is a Ken.
Okay, that's 3 teams. Aston Martin. Interesting.
No, Fernando's a Barbie. Lando.
Lance is a Ken.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. McLaren.
Lando, Barbie, Oscar
Ken.
Yeah.
Though Oscar's maybe like not quite as Kenish as we think he is, but
no, but he's like the supporting actor right now, you know?
Yeah. AlphaTauri, they're both Barbies.
Yes.
100%. I mean,
no
Daniel's
Ken
maybe
bone in their body.
Little Kenish, but like they're both Barbies.
Yeah.
Haas, they're both Kens.
Yeah. Especially Hulk.
Alfa Romeo's interesting. Is Joe a Barbie? I think he's more Barbie.
Yeah.
And I think Valtteri's more Ken.
Yeah.
Williams, Alex is Barbie, or is Alex a Ken?
Alex is Barbie.
Logan's a Ken, and we're missing a team. Oh,
Yeah.
Alpine.
Oh,
Pierre's a Ken. 100% a Ken.
Yeah, and I would say Oscar's a Ken too. Don't
Esteban.
You? I mean,
he's not with Alpine, Hannah.
Ocon is what I meant to say.
Ocon's what?
A Ken.
A Ken. Yeah.
You think Pierre's a Ken?
I think he's pretty, like, the whole way that Ken is at the beginning, like, he's very much that kind of, like,
yeah, sure,
you know,
yeah,
he's a Ken.
Yeah.
Love and respect to all Barbies and Ken. So how many Barbies? We don't have that many Barbies.
No.
Lewis, maybe Charles, Daniel, Yuki, Joe, Alex Albon. Is that all we said for? I mean, that's pretty good. I could see them in their houses waving to each other. Hi, Barbie.
Hi,
Barbie. Which one would be President Barbie?
Yuki.
That would be so hilarious.
Yeah,
he would be.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
In reality, it'd probably be Lewis, but
oh yeah, Lewis for sure.
But Yuki was a funnier answer.
Yuki is a funny answer. No, Yuki would be the head Supreme Court justice.
When she sees the billboard of this universe, oh, it's the Supreme Court.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Oh, it's so good.
Great film. Great
film.
Okay, let's do our pyramid real quick.
Okay,
and we'll wrap this bad boy up. And obviously fan info. Bottom of the pyramid this week is Mr. Otmar. Unfortunately for him, his time with F1, well, as of now, is over, and we wish him a nice bon voyage. I don't think that's how you say it. A nice bon voyage, but
no, just
bon voyage.
Yeah. It doesn't mean good travels.
Yeah.
So
you travels well.
Nice good travels. I liked it.
We wish you well.
Feliz cumpleaños.
Feliz cumpleaños. We'll celebrate your birthday here on August 15th or whatever it is. Next bottom is Fernando. Just had a decent race this week, but bad sprint.
Yeah.
Uncharacteristic mistake. Just a little bit on the
weekend,
birthday weekend, a little bit on the back foot. It kind of has to be said. And we need more Fernando. Also, he's being a little bit too nice. Like, we just need a little bit. We need the spice Fernando back.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but
I would like that.
He's too calm.
He was like nice strategy or nice. He gave a compliment on the radio today, and I was just like, no more compliments from you.
Yeah, it's giving teacher's pet, and I don't understand why that's happening. Like, I don't know why he's doing that.
There's some long game happening.
I know.
I mean,
I want to know what it
might be
is.
the seat. He's trying to preserve his seat for as long as possible. Also, because he knows that, like with every other team, it's like you know there's two seats, but with Aston Martin, there's really just one seat,
which is like so annoying.
Maybe he's worried about Yuki. Maybe he's worried that with the Honda partnership, he's going to get replaced.
Yeah, I get that, but that doesn't mean you like. Being Fernando got you championships.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So what are you doing?
That's a good point.
Like, you can still be like respectful and nice and be a monster on the track.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
Like, you'd have time to watch the race and give compliments. I don't know. I mean, it's like a nice thing to do. I'm not saying he's wrong for being nice. It's just confusing.
Yes. And then the last bottom spot on the pyramid is Nico Hülkenberg, who, again, kind of just bad all around. The race was okay, and then he went probably way too long on his soft tires and just got passed by literally everyone except for Logan Sargent. No, he did get passed by Logan Sargent. Wasn't a great race for him, and Haas is just kind of,
I'm confused.
They were okay in the race, but they weren't. I don't know. It's just all kind of strange.
Yeah.
Middle of the pyramid, we've got Oscar Piastri, obviously great sprint race, but got his car damaged.
My favorite, I think I have damage. It's like, yeah, you do. Very good. Very astute.
It's like, I'm not even here.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know what he was doing. It was like just so level. It's so interesting.
Very level.
Me too. It's like, you just got in a car accident. Like, even if you're still driving and you did, whatever, but like, you got in a car accident. Like, I wouldn't be that calm if like I got rear-ended.
Right.
So
but they do it every day. So
I mean, I understand. I'm just saying it's
good
on him.
Right. And then the next mid spot is Charles Leclerc, who, sort of got pole position and got third, got P3 this like a better weekend from Ferrari.
Got pole. He
And
really got pole.
He did,
That's
but
how the sport works, though.
I know he did. Yeah. Okay.
Let's just give it to him.
Okay.
It's little victories.
It was a decent race weekend from him. Is it what we want ultimately?
No.
Forever? No. But it was good.
Yeah.
It was pretty solid. And then top of the pyramid, we could give it to Max. We're not going to. We're going to give it to Pierre for his P3 finish in the sprint. And then also he did this really amazing run/walk gathering of sorts for his friend Antoine Hubert, who obviously passed away at Spa or at the, after an accident at Spa in 2019, and did his, honorary or, thing where he puts the flowers on the track. I saw he was with Juan Manuel Correa as well.
Did something to my heart.
And it was great. He invited everyone from F3, F2, the paddock to take part in this, and it was like downpouring rain.
I know. It was hard because when the collage of the 4 years that he's been there, it was really hard because I was like, I know I was supposed to be solemn and but he looked very nice.
Are you being sarcastic?
No. He looked hot in all 4 of his. Yeah, he did.
Oh, I was gonna say the 4th one was bad because his hair was damp.
Oh, I thought it looked good.
Oh, okay. Well, if you thought that, then
I just love his hair. It's one of my least favorite.
Well, it's because he's balding.
Well, no, I don't like how poofed it is.
It's because he's balding.
That's fine, but when it's wet, I liked it.
Okay,
I was a fan.
Okay, I thought it made it look a little bit rough, but that's okay. Tomato. It's fine.
Yeah.
He did. It was all good. He did a good thing.
Yeah. This is about
not about his hair.
No, I just.
And do you see what he wrote on the note?
No.
He left a note. So he put the flowers and he said, "I'll prove them wrong."
Yeah. And then
that's what Antoine told him to do. Because when Antoine passed away was right when Pierre lost the Red Bull seat.
I know.
So anyway, onwards and upwards.
Yeah.
For Pierre Gasly.
Yeah. And I think it made just that whole weekend and the track itself, I think made the 3rd place in the sprint just all that much sweeter for him.
He did miss out on points today, P11, right behind his good buddy, Mr. Yuki. But that's okay.
Proud of Ukes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fan and foe. I'll just quickly do my fan because it was Pierre Gasly's sprint podium, whatever it was this week. Congratulations to Pierre.
Yeah, mine was I really liked and we've already talked about it, but it was Max's race engineer. I liked
him the talking back.
Yeah, because it's very much like me.
Yes.
That's my energy.
Yes, for sure.
I liked it.
And then I'm sure we have the same foe.
Otmar. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's to you, Otmar.
Bon voyage. We'll miss you dearly. I didn't even know. I just wanted to shout out to the peeps who reached out to us and were like, oh my gosh, Otmar, we thought about you. You were the first person we thought of, because I didn't even know how much I loved him until I found out we were losing him. And just goes to show, don't take for granted stuff.
The people you have. Yeah. Let's enjoy the time we have with the people that we have it with.
Xavi,
exactly. Daniel Ricciardo, you lose drivers and then they come back. It's let's appreciate that they're around, even if it's not a great experience.
Exactly.
So, all right, we got summer break coming up now. We have some fun episodes planned, some stuff going on. So we will be here to keep you entertained during this break. Anything else you want to share?
I don't think so.
Make sure to like, comment, rate, subscribe, follow us on all the social medias, YouTube, leave us a review on Apple Pod, 5-star rating if you haven't already, all the things. Download Fan Amp.
Yes.
Our new.
Oh my gosh, the winner.
Oh, do we have to? Are we sharing it?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, we'll share it because it's on my phone, which we use for our camera. So we'll share it on
social media.
So you'll have already known by the time you're listening to this. We'll put it
but yeah, we partnered with them. There's this great app where we can talk and discuss during the race weekend about whatever you want to talk about, Formula One related. We all can come together. So if you haven't downloaded that app, download it and talk with some other F1 besties. It'll be great.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Okay, guys, we'll talk to you next week.
Enchante.